empty cup. Just crack a smile and fill it up. Fill it up.
All right.
Does recording? I think we're ready to go. Welcome to the malting hour after the final pour. Much like last time, we experienced some technical difficulties, so we're going to do this again. Bear with. The best thing is that you guys only know that because we're saying it, but it's so much more fun for us because we get to talk longer with each other and with friends, and we've also drank a little bit.
Yes.
And that's our guest chiming in. That's Stephanie of Fannie's, because today we are drinking and have already drank. Well, I finished mine. You guys still have some. Brandon, you have it on tap. Stephanie, you have a little bit left, but we are drinking our Cinnamon Roll Imperial Sweet Stout that Brandon and I brewed back in November. And unfortunately, Clark is not with us right now. He was on the first recording that we did, but he had to go. So I'm going to, at some point towards the end, I'll splice in his thoughts on this beer. Nobody really listens to Clark anyway, right? When you guys hear Clark's voice, you fast forward. That's
why we put it at the end.
Exactly. So without further ado, Stephanie, welcome back to the show. You've been on the show a couple times. You're the owner and proprietor of Fannie's. What is it? What is it now? Is it just Fannie's
Cafe?
Cafe. Okay. Bake shop as well. Baked goods, which is
bakery, cafe,
all
good vibes.
If people have been listening to this show for a while, they're very familiar with you, whether you've been on or we just talk about you in a good way. But yeah, so you were our very first guest, and here we are 2 years later, almost to the day, and you're back on here. Welcome back.
Yes. Thanks so much for having me. This is so fun.
This has been a fun Sunday.
It has been a fun Sunday already, and it's going to just get more and more fun. And I think it's hilarious. I love that I get to be a guest on this podcast when I know nothing about beer. Like, I love it. I seriously do. I feel like you guys should appreciate me as an interesting perspective because you guys talk about brewing and I don't know what you're saying. And,
hey, look, we appreciate you for your baking skills. What more do you want from us?
Right. No, I feel like it's this mutual thing where I don't know what the fuck you do and you don't know what the fuck I do, but we both appreciate what we all do, and then we put it together and it's delicious. So
agreed. And this collaboration in particular is hands down, as I was just talking with Brandon before you came back onto the video with us, that this particular beer that we brewed might be the best beer I've ever been a part of brewing myself and with somebody else. Like I'm so proud of this beer. It's delicious. And we're about to get into it now. For those of you who follow the show regularly and follow us on Instagram, as you know, Brandon and I brewed this beer back in November of 2020, the worst year of everybody's life. And the beer actually consists of, I'll go through it real quick, 16 pounds of pale malt, 2.5 pounds of chocolate malt, 1 pound of flaked oats, 1 pound of caramel crystal, 2 pounds of caramel crystal 60, because we didn't have caramel crystal 120 when Brandon went, 1 pound of Carapils dextrin, half a pound of milk sugar, lactose. We did 2 ounces of Chinook for the whole 60 minutes of the boil, and we used 2 packages of Safale American US 05. We did this all on Brandon's setup, and during the mash, we added 4 gigantic cinnamon rolls. We would have done 6, but Brandon's wife and my wife wanted one, so we saved it for them. Brandon also made a homemade Madagascar vanilla bean tincture that sat in vodka. We added some Saigon cinnamon powder to the boil, and Brandon just recently had a Saigon cinnamon stick sitting in some Buffalo Trace where the stick went into the keg after the beer was done fermenting and carbonated for a little bit, and also added that bourbon into the beer as well. That was probably the fastest and best concise description of that recipe I've ever done.
You missed something though. You did not mention the cinnamon tincture that you made that I threw in there as well.
Oh shit! I forgot about that too. And that also sat in Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace has become Brandon, that bottle that you got me for Christmas. Most of it has gone to brewing. I have a half a bottle left, and I've only done like 2 pours for myself.
I'm okay with that.
Me too. I'm totally fine with that.
Probably only a half a bottle left because I haven't been over to hang out in a while.
It would be gone if you and I were, had hung out together.
Well,
Although
I'm glad you're putting it to good use.
Yeah, definitely. It is going to good use. I'm gonna throw it to you guys. Actually, Stephanie, we'll start with you since you actually, I know Brandon, you have some. I'm all out since we already recorded this once. But Stephanie, tell us a little bit. I'm drinking my blonde ale. Stephanie, tell us what you think about the beer that has your buns in it.
The beer with my buns. Yeah. Well,
rolls.
obviously it's
rolls.
amazing. Oh, come on. We're taking that part out. We're putting the buns back in, and then I say they're amazing.
This
and
is
that's how
all
this is gonna
staying
go.
in. It's
Yeah.
all staying in. It's all staying.
All
I'm not
right,
editing
whatever.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, cinnamon buns are in here. So I own a bakery. I don't bake anymore. But anyway, I have very I have really, really amazing bakers who make these cinnamon buns and the cinnamon buns are the size of small babies' heads. They're massive.
I'm glad that still made it into the conversation.
Yes.
Well, it's true. They're huge and delicious. So everything we make. And that's how you get babies' heads.
Oh my God, this is already going off the rails. Already going off the rails.
Love it.
So, from scratch by hand. So we make everything from scratch by hand. It's all natural ingredients. And then we just make these really huge, delicious cinnamon buns with, lots of butter and cinnamon and brown sugar. And I love that you guys took that and made beer with it. It's amazing. I still think that brewing beer is like magic. So when you guys, when you do this, and so on the other episodes I've been on, we've talked about how I'm not a huge beer drinker, and when I do drink beer, it's definitely not stout. And then you're like, taste the cinnamon bun stout, and I was like, okay. But then I get it, and it's actually a lot more drinkable than stouts usually are for me. I mean, we talked about how you guys gave me 16 ounces, and there's maybe an ounce left. So I've done my research to, make sure.
To fully talk about this, yeah.
Right, exactly. So when I first tasted it, cinnamon bun hit me immediately. Cinnamon hit me. Like, I get the cinnamon, and then sort of like on the back end, there's this buttery bunness. See, I'm terrible at describing taste. I can conceptually put together flavors in my head and then create baked goods and meals. And then you guys asked me to verbalize it in a cohesive way after 12 ounces of 10% stout.
Yeah.
Which is unfair, but that's cool. I'm in. Yeah. Is it 11%?
Just say it tastes like chicken. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
No, don't say that about this beer.
No, it's so interesting when I taste things that are made from the baked goods in my shop, and I drink a beer and I'm like, holy bejeebus, it's cinnamon bun in a stout. It's like, it's delicious. It's super good. It's very drinkable. It's not as heavy as I expected it to be in any way. Like I said, I'm 16 ounces in, and it's delicious. It's amazing. You guys are like, I swear to God, beer brewing, it's alchemy. It's magic. I don't know. It's so good. It's
like,
so good.
And I mean, Tony and I have talked about this too. And I think we talked about it, in this first iteration of this recording, but this base beer will definitely stay the same. And then just kind of redoing it is just going to be introducing different adjuncts. But I know we talked about the next time we do it, we want to just do the base mount, the base beer for this. And again, and I think that is actually important because we'll get familiar with kind of what's there already and then see what might work. Because as much as we love doing this with the cinnamon roll stout, we talked about expanding this into other things, and Fannie's makes the sunrise rolls. So kind of flipping it over and doing this with sunrise rolls seems like it would be the next best thing.
Yeah.
I would love if you guys did that, just to say,
And we'd started talking about it in the last recording that the sunrise roll is the same dough as the cinnamon roll minus there's no cinnamon in it though, right?
no, it's if you're thinking about like orange creamsicle. That's what a sunrise roll is. So you have like an orange cream filling and then an orange zest icing on top of the dough that is the bun that is used for cinnamon buns. So we only do them in the summer unless Brandon stalks us.
Which he does.
As he does, and then sometimes we make them when it's not the summer. so we try to make it seasonal because it's a very bright. I love using zest because when you use zest, things become it's just very bright and it's obvious. And I think it does a lot to raise the flavor profile of anything you're doing when you're using zest. So in the sunrise roll, particularly when we put it in the icing, I think that has a huge impact on just this very sunshiny, happy feeling you get in a sunrise roll. So
maybe this time of year in Chicago, this is what the city needs, is something that's bright and shiny.
You are not wrong. That's not a bad idea.
I mean, as of right now, as we're recording this, the temperature is 2 degrees with a low of -9. So the wind chill is going to bring that down. It's full on winter here in Chicago, and anybody who lives in the area knows that what we're talking about. And you're absolutely
people. Sorry
to
interrupt, but if you don't live in Chicago, for the record, it gets colder here than it is on Mars sometimes. And it's colder here than it is in Alaska sometimes.
Antarctica?
Antarctica. No, it gets really fucking cold here is what I'm trying to say. I'm like,
and those F-bombs fly, baby.
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. It's a family show. But what I was going to say was that, when you're talking about the zest in the sunrise rolls, we were talking about how I use lime zest in my lime goza, and that, I zest 3 to 4 limes, then that zest went into the boil. And before I added the lime juice to the keg, and lime juice and sea salt, while I kegged it, I tried a sample of it, and I got a lot of lime, and all that you're getting all that oil from the actual zest and the peel. So a lot of flavor comes out from that. So I think us doing you had said that when you come up with these ideas, and this idea in particular for the sunrise roll was a daydream, and the name of this beer, Brandon, we decided was Into the Void. So we thought we'd call this next one when we do the one with the sunrise roll, it'd be Into the Void Sunrise Daydream.
I love sunrise daydream. I love it.
So, and I think
it's true.
I was going to say, the thing I think would be kind of good with this, if we do take the seasonal approach where you do make the sunrise rolls kind of more of a summer thing, doing this towards the end of August and making that beer would make it a great October campfire,
or September, when it starts, maybe you get those cooler nights.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah, no, I love that idea, and I would love. It's weird, and I know you guys have talked about this often about putting fruit in the beer, right?
Yeah.
And normally, and I know this only from knowing you, that fruit and stout is not a thing a lot of people think of normally or do normally. I don't know. No,
it's for me in particular. I'm not a fan. It actually is something that people do. I'm not a fan of chocolate and fruit. Me
either. So for me, as I own this bakery, I hate fruit and chocolate. Yep. I hate it. I will occasionally do the chocolate covered strawberry, but in general, I don't like fruit and chocolate. But I accidentally, over Christmas, I was buying candy for friends, and I grabbed a box of truffles, and I didn't realize that it was orange truffle. And I was like, gross. I don't I was not.
Yes.
And then it wound up being delicious. And I imagine that they used some zest in that truffle. So it wound up being really, really good. And so when you were talking about the concept of doing this sunrise roll stout, even though my initial reaction is I'll put it in a thing I like better, but then I remembered that I didn't, I wasn't, like a triple. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Know what I mean? Anyway, so
we don't.
Not at all. What are you talking about, lady?
Anyways, I'm excited to see what you do because I didn't think I would like an orange truffle, and it wound up to be really good, and I ate a box of them. So.
Turns out you do like fruit and chocolate.
Turns out. Yeah. Anyway, so it could be great. I don't know. I trust what you guys do because it always winds up delicious. So I'm excited.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Brandon and I have discussed at lengths, both while drinking and not drinking, the ideas that we have of the pastries and stuff that you guys make over at the shop and how we can incorporate those into beers. Now, and we know that, Lake Effect does, you guys do the barrel aged chocolate cake stout, which was very good. We're trying to find a way to incorporate other things and maybe even take it a step further. So that's what we're aiming for.
Well, and I think you definitely did that in this. I mean, what you did with the Madagascar vanilla, which I think is brilliant, and then soaking the cinnamon stick, and we have bourbon in there. I mean, you took the cinnamon bun and it's awesome, but you put your twist on it with these other ingredients and it wound up to be amazing. It's a great combination. It's really, really good.
Well, coming from someone who does not really like beer, and especially stouts, we appreciate that immensely. Sounds like a motorcycle just drove by your place. Gotta be honest.
Probably. I live on Cicero, so there's a lot of.
Oh, don't tell anybody! Don't tell anybody! Oh no!
There's a lot of people who live on Cicero. I don't know. I am gonna.
Didn't say officially aware. That's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I live in the most interesting place ever, and I'm gonna start an Instagram page all about how weird Six Corners is. It's super fun.
Now you've given away the neighborhood.
Oh well, I mean, her business is there, so.
All right, I'm just gonna give your address. No, I'm just
Cool.
I don't know your address. I just put in. I just put in the cross streets, and that's where I go.
Perfect.
Well, thank you for making delicious cinnamon rolls. And we had mentioned when we tried doing this recording before, Brandon has done the Belgian triple again. It was the same recipe that we developed the first time, but now Brandon has number one, he's done it on his system, so it'll be different. He used a different yeast. He adjusted the recipe. So and he's being very patient with it, which is great, which gives you a better finished product. So we're all excited about Brandon's triple, and when time comes at some point, it's ready and it's kegged and it's carbonated and ready to go. I think maybe we'll have you back for that as well. It'll just be after the final pour with Stephanie all the time now.
I think that's a great idea. I love it.
just getting her to drink beer more and more.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot going on these days, guys. If you want to drop off beer and talk about it, I am willing. But I'm super excited.
That's all we need.
I am. Yeah, no, do it. I'm really excited. I love what you guys do with stout, and I understand that what I do with baked goods works with stout. Like, I get it. That's awesome. Stout is not what I personally drink. So if I take off like the hat that is Fannie's, right, and I just put on like the stuff hat of what I like to drink, if I'm gonna do beer, it's always like a Belgian something, and triple's my favorite. So I'm really excited that Brandon's making a triple, and I totally want to drink it. So please drop it off at my house because we're neighbors.
I will.
Yeah. We're all neighbors at this point.
Yeah, we're all neighbors, right? Exactly. So no, I'm excited. Those are delicious. Those are my favorite. I haven't had one in a while. But anyway,
I'm gonna go to the store and get some.
I'm gonna get some.
No.
I have my, well, it's Sunday. I normally just drink a bottle of champagne every Sunday, but now I've had stout and champagne.
Nice.
So.
It's gonna be a good Super Bowl Sunday for you, Steph. I can already feel it.
It is. It already is. This is why you should interview me twice.
Yeah, I think from now on maybe we should do a happy hour before we record, and then we just go
Right?
at least for after the final pour.
I mean, again, that does lend itself to the true after the final pour. You have to drink a little before you go into the recording. So.
This might make it more authentic for sure, because you gave me 16 ounces and there were only 2 left by the time we got here. So.
I like how much the numbers have changed throughout this whole conversation.
I've always been an estimator, Tony. I am not good with exact numbers.
Math, who needs it? I don't.
It's like magic. It's like what you do with brewing. I don't know.
That's what we do. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. Steph, thank you so much for coming back on. We appreciate it. And we're so happy to hear that you're open again and selling all the good stuff that you do to our community. Where can people find you as far as, internet and actual location?
Heck yeah. So check out fanniescafe.com. That's our website where you can find out about, people get a little bit confused. So let me tell you, we are open for walk-in business. You can come in and order off our daily menu and whatever we have in the bake case that day, which is generally scones, muffins, cupcakes, and quick breads, cookies. But if you want things like And cinnamon rolls. Yes, definitely. If you want things like cakes, larger
Pies.
orders, pies, and
Pie.
take and bake things, like we're doing dinners where you can take home like a chicken pot pie or sloppy joes or masticholi and bake them out for dinner. That's all available for order on our website. So we go to fanniescafe.com. And if you're just wondering what we're up to daily, I try to keep the socials going. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at
Better
Fannie's
than us.
Cafe. I try. So
Yeah.
anyway, follow us. Following us is the best way to know what the heck's going on. So just search Fannie's Cafe.
Yeah, I'll put when we post this episode, I'll go ahead and put a link to all the social media and stuff on the website on this. But and anybody who doesn't actually look at the site and you're just listening through some podcast streaming platform, it's Fannie's is FANNIES, and it's
Yes.
cafe right afterwards. If
Fannie's
you don't know how to
Cafe.
spell cafe, I can't help you. I can't help you.
Yeah, and if you don't spell it right and you spell it wrong and you see a bunch of like vaginas from the UK, that's not us.
I'll be right back. I gotta go Google.
Excuse me while I misspell this and type it in.
You may have just promoted something else. So
I'm just being honest about what's out there. So
there's the heads up. Well, I got something to Google. Brandon, I love you, buddy. It's always
Love you
good
too, man.
to see you. And everybody, thank you for listening. And we'll see you guys next time. Well, we won't see you, but bye. Bye.
Bye. Later.
And as promised, here is Clark's very short review of the Into the Void Cinnamon Roll Imperial Sweet Stout.
Yeah, no, I really like it. And I don't think it's too sweet, at least for my taste. I'm getting a lot of bitterness to it, which balances out that sweetness, which I really like. And at the very, very end, I get cinnamon roll. I mean, I get that doughy, I don't know if that's from the yeast or what, or from the actual cinnamon roll, which it probably is, and I hope it is. That's coming through for me right at the end.
This has been The Malting Hour. Be sure to follow us on all social media by searching The Malting Hour and at themaltinghour.com. You can also follow us on social media platforms individually. Brandon can be found on Instagram as BMDub81, on Twitter, BDub81, on Untapped, BDub Drinks Beer. Tony can be found on Instagram and Untapped under Asa Phelps Chicago. On Twitter, The Asa Phelps Chicago. Clark can be found as Clarkowski on all three. Be sure to subscribe, like, and rate the show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Until next time, cheers from all of us at The Malting Hour.